guys, Monica Bertolani here and welcome to one of our classes in English. So today I'm going to show you how to bring this beautiful pen that I've done inside Cloud 3D back to Style 3D and use it in a project I'm working. So I'm going to show you step by step by using the maps and the patterns that we already have. Alright, so before we get started, let's get into stylist3d.com and download the software we're going to need for this project. You also need to sign up, putting your name and email, as well as our invitation code, where you can get 4 months of free trial using our invitation code, of course. And you could decide if you want to subscribe for this amazing program. On the Discover link at the top right, you can find all the projects, all the amazing projects of the artists that are using the software. You can see my project here as well. And if you go to the creators on the top right, you can visit all the artists' pages and their projects, their particular projects, and see all the amazing results that you're getting with the software. So we also have the Learning Center where you can learn step by step the basics to get started if you want to. And you could check the Activity Center as well, where you can extend your period of usage of the software by participating all the activities they have. So in the FAQ at the right bottom of this website, you can find the link to the Discord community, as well as many answers and doubts about the software and the system requirements, all that you're going to need to run this software in your PC. So inside Cloud 3D, let's go to File, Export DXF, type the name of your file and choose the file location. When this window pops, you won't select anything but click OK. Inside Style 3D, you go to File, Import DXF. Find the file you have saved, open it. Click OK. And then you have all the patterns inside your working area. So you just might want to arrange it better. And then let's select an avatar to start it. I'm going to select the basic female they have. Just click Add and click OK. Once she's in here, we can start organizing our patterns. So I might drag it over here so I can understand if the size is the same. I can see it's a little bit bigger than, because the avatar I had using it was a big avatar actually. Pretty much out of normal regular size. So I will have to resize it a bit. So since I don't need any precisions here, I might adjust it later manually. So I'll start using the arrangement points to position patterns over here and check out the fitting. So I'm starting with the front and then with the back. All right, so now I'll reorganize the patterns in a better way so I can use the 2D area to sew. And you could actually use the 3D to sew, but I'm used to use the 2D area, so you could use whatever way you feel more comfortable to. And I'm gonna start using the free sewing tool, that is the shortcut M of your keyboard. This makes the sewing more precise. And for the central part, I'm using the segment sewing, that is the N of your keyboard. You can turn those purple lines into internal lines using the I shortcut of your keyboard. That is the trace tool. And then you can sew it very easily. You can use superimpose over to put the pockets over the back, and this is gonna avoid a lot of collision during simulation. And I'm just positioning those small patterns and the waistband. I'm also tracing this front part to sew it. I forgot to split the pocket with the small piece on the back, so you could use the free sewing tool and press Shift to split it. So you start with the bigger piece and then you go to the two small pieces and you only release shift when you are done, and the program is gonna split the sewing by itself. You can use the free sew tool to always start from the edges. This is an easier way that I use to sew when we have a lot of pieces, you know. And the free sewing calculates the distance you should go with the sewing by showing a small blue dot. So I think it's much easier. So once I'm done doing all the sewings, I need to just double check if everything's okay. So I can see that here in the back, I have a crossed sewing. So I might need to delete it and redo it. I could do it using the 3D areas, so it's easier to see if the lines are crossing, and just simulate it to see the fit. It seems okay, but it's a little bit big. So I might need to make it a little bit smaller. So right here, I've just added this print as a fabric texture inside the property editor. And this texture I got by taking picture of the pants and editing it inside Photoshop just to match the outlines of this pattern. So it's not so precise and it's kind of tough to make it fit, but I'm moving it around in a way that it could just I could just use those puckerings and try to use the texture as much as I can. And right now I'm just adding a little bit of thickness and double-sided to those patterns in a way that it seems we have two patterns sewn into each other. And the jeans is a little bit of a thicker fabric, so it's okay to do it. It's just for animation purpose, so there is no need to add a second layer of fabric right now. And I can see that the waistband is deforming my pockets because it's way too much stretched. I'm right now just trying to adjust the pockets to fit the texture better because, as I said, it was done in Photoshop and it's not so precise. This is not gonna change or modify the pattern so much. If you were using it for production purpose, please don't do that. But since my main goal here is animation, I'm free to move around as much as I can. And they are just little changes. They are not gonna change the fitting so much. The way I'm doing these adjustments is by pressing V of your keyboard. You could adjust those purple dots that are the curve points of the pattern. So you could just click over it and drag it around to adjust the curves as much as you want. Just feel free to move around. I'm also making these pockets a little bit wider so it won't show while moving or go through the front opening. So in this case that I'm not using this outfit for production purpose, I'm just adjusting the fitting by tweaking around the shrinkage warp. So I wouldn't need even to adjust the patterns and miss something with the print that I just put it over. So you just could use this trick that I use a lot and it helps me so much. Okay, so I'm gonna speed it up a bit because it's all about tweaking and moving around the patterns to make it look nice. I'm gonna add some pins to fix this pocket while moving. Okay, so I found this button in the programs library, and I found it very good to be using on this pens, and I just downloaded it. And it's very simple to add. You just double click on it, and it will load in the button area. So you could just use the button tool to put it on place and add the buttonhole as well. So using the button tool, you just can move it around to find the better fitting. So right now I'm using the free tool to just sew without any precision the waistband. So I'm just using the 3D area to see where to put it and free sewing and adjusting. If it gets a little bit tilted, I will just manually adjust it. You know, you could just totally make it more precise by adding split points on it. You just right click over the line and add a point, or just use the split tool. But I'm just choosing to go free sewing because actually I've been doing this for so long that I just go through the process without being so precise, and it just turns out okay. You see, right now I'm using the split. So this could be totally used. You just right click over it, or you just press X and click over the line. It will create a splitting line. Right now I'm adding equidistant internal lines, so I could just double sew the, how do you call this? The belt loop, maybe? Yeah. Is this the right name? So if I'm double stitching it, double sewing it, it's because I don't want this curved sew, you know, I just want a flat. So just like a real jeans, because on a real belt loop, you have double sew. You have a sewing in the middle that will make this belt look flat and not so much loose. So this is what I'm doing right now. And I think it gives a nicer end result. So with this internal line, I could use just a segment sewing, would make it much faster, you know. So now I'm gonna test an animation and see how it goes. I'm really concerned about the pocket, just getting loose and showing some body parts. So I'm gonna test it if it goes well. And also I'm gonna check the fabric, if the movement of the fabric looks like a real jeans. This is a very important step. I usually like while moving to have a lot of folds, you know, a lot of uh, you see, I just love this movement. It seems very good. So now I'm gonna save it and add it to the other project I'm working. So I have this top full of sequins. I don't know how to say it. It is sequins. I'm not sure about it. And it's a very heavy file. So that's why I was doing the pants on a separate file and just added it later. So I wouldn't have to take a lot of time doing this because the program would get so slow because of it. At the right top menu, you can click on Scene tab, Environment, and you will find the wind function. When you click on it and click on the blue sphere that will show on the scene, you can edit wind properties. So you can just tweak around the wind properties to see how it works. Don't forget to activate simulation to show the wind moving everything around. I just ended with strength 800 and frequency to 2 seconds. So the wind will blow for just 2 seconds and stop and then start over again. I just wanted to see the sequence moving around, but you can just tweak everything uh, to find the perfect result for your fabric movement. I didn't quite enjoy the final result so much, but it was enough just to show it moving around. To me, that was good enough. But you can just tweak around to find the perfect movement for you. Now it's time to simulate the animation and check if everything will work just fine with the wind and the top and pants all together. So if it's everything okay, we're ready to render it. And also don't forget to set the camera. So the camera will work based on your point of view. So if you want to make the camera move, you just have to add some camera track. But for this specific outfit, I'm just going to work with my camera on a fixed position. All right, so before you render it, it is important whatever render tool you're going to use, because now we have the ray tracing tool that is a super fast render. You need to configure your output, your image sizes. So you just click right here on, oh yeah, so if it's an animation, you edit the proportions right here, right on this button. And you can adjust resolution that are going to be the proportions of the image. So if it is for reels, for example, for Instagram reels, you could just use these proportions. And here you can also adjust the start and end time of your animation that the render is going to take into consideration. So since I'm used to work with frames, I usually start after frame 30, that is the transition. The transition takes around 30 frames. So I start around here on the 30. So you could just adjust here, just click and select 30. Or you could move around this green bar by clicking over it and dragging it back and forth. So right here I have adjusted it already. And here I also need to adjust the device that's going to render it, if it's your GPU or CPU. Lower the noise and adjust the render quality to fast, default, high quality, or you could just custom it. I usually select high quality and click on denoise, okay? Once you're done doing this, you are ready to render. If you're gonna use the ray tracing render, you just have to select it right here. Just click over it, because if you don't, if you just leave normal rendering, and when you click here to save, it's gonna render as you can see your view. Just select the ray tracing. And when you click on export right here, remember to, well, that's what I like to do. I like to save the frames as images. And so I always leave this selected, because if your program crashes during exporting while rendering, you have the option to restart from where you have stopped. So I usually have, it's gonna save the frames in a folder. So you can go there and check the last frame that was rendered and start from there. And you could just join all the frames inside Adobe Premiere to make a video out of it. It's super easy. Save frames as images, and if you're gonna render as ray trace, you just click save, and it's gonna take like if a picture take 10 minutes, in my GPU, using the ray trace render, it's gonna be like 100 frames in an hour. So if I just used to have 6 frames in an hour, now we have 100 frames in 1 hour. So that's super fast render. But you have to just to have in mind that some types of fabrics that have the option render only in front of it, they won't work in render like this. In this picture, I have a glass here on her earring that when I render using the ray tracing tool, it won't be rendered. And while the regular render, it's gonna make it glass, look like a glass. So the biggest difference between the ray tracing and the normal render is that ray tracing is not so precise with shadows. So it's gonna be a little bit more blurred. While the regular render, you have very sharp edges right here. And as well as those fabrics that we have render only in front of it. It won't work into the ray tracing. I believe it's just a matter of time. They're upgrading the software so fast and many changes are coming. So we might be surprised to have it in the future maybe. I truly believe it's going to happen. And just like Unreal, it's a matter of time to see all of those features into the ray tracing. So once you're done, you just have to enjoy your final animation. You wear new tee, new jeans, do you see? You wear new tee, new jeans, do you see? You wear new tee. So if you like this video, leave us a like, subscribe to our channel so you won't miss any of our new videos, and also let me know in the comments what you want to learn next, and maybe we can make a video for you. All right, guys, bye-bye.